walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
Welcome back to this Monday's edition of Theyre Watching. So yeah, they're fucking watching you, so whatever you're doing right now, they're watching.
Make sure you're smiling.
You know what? We should have fucking done a movie about, like, ghosts. You know, you ever think about, like, your relatives that passed away? And it's like, when I was a kid, I remember, like, you know, snapping one out, sorry. But that's what happens with humans.
Right.
I remember when snapping one out, and I'm like, oh, my grandma just passed away. I wonder if she's watching me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, isn't that, like, a common thing? Like, you're just like, oh, like, my dead relatives are watching me?
When I was super young and naive, I kind of had that thought with my parents, you know, God's always watching.
Right.
And
yeah,
so,
well,
like,
that's probably where it stems from.
Right, so I would always be like, yeah, I'm burning in hell. I'm not stopping.
I'm sorry, God!
Look away!
Oh, it feels so good!
Look away!
Well, you're probably calling his name out while you're doing it. Oh, God. Like, man, there's a real sexual relationship. And I'm going to hell. So...
Burning forever.
I'm already here, motherfuckers.
Eternal damnation.
Yeah. Got a whole new episode for you. It's a great new week. Fuck Mondays. We're going to do it up right, BTV style.
We got a really big show for you.
We got a really big show for you. Oh, whatever, dude.
Really big. Really big show.
I just run with it. I'm half the time I'm being silly. You
right.
know what I mean? Like, that. I don't really talk like that. You know what I mean? Like... but anyway, we're gonna do some horror shots. We're gonna do some newses and some stuffs. What's the users been doing?
It's been doing not too much, you know. This do what I do.
What? Have you done anything cool this week?
Me and my wife, we sat down for about 5 hours to flush out the rest of our logo.
Oh yeah, we got a brand new logo, guys. If you haven't already seen it, I've kind of sprinkled it in online a little bit.
Right.
We showed some T-shirts that we're going to be making probably in the near future.
Somewhat customizable if you want.
And
we don't know yet.
And I gotta say, guys, like, give us your thoughts on the logo design. Like, what you think. You can be honest. It's okay.
I'm not going to be hurt.
Yeah, we can handle it. But, you know, I will say that when I first saw the design in its infancy, I was like, I could see potential in this, but I don't know where it's going to be.
Right.
And then when I saw it finally finish, I was like, damn. That's pretty good. We were making these cards and shit, and then we were going to make some T-shirts for the convention that we're going to have seen by the time you guys hear this. We have already gone to the Mad Monster party in Phoenix, so we wanted to wear some T-shirts, you know, be super cool.
Right.
But anyway, guys, if you like the design or if you don't like the design, let us know your thoughts.
Right.
If you'd want a T-shirt, if you want a tank top, let us know. We want to know in the comments. I did talk to Esmeralda. She was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'd do that. A couple other people were really excited about it. So I think the logo design's pretty good. So
Thank
good
you.
job, Kelly and Pat.
Yeah.
I you know, I hate to say this, Patrick, and I don't mean to be rude, but
Go
I'm
ahead.
like, I kept saying, thank you, Kelly. And then he was like, I helped too. And I was like, I immediately picture him like as I'm writing a song and him going, yeah, that sounds good.
Except it derived from my original drawing.
Okay, all right. I didn't know what the confines were. I just know that Kelly knows her Photoshop.
She knows her Photoshop.
And you don't.
And I don't.
Yeah.
But, like, I was leading her what I wanted to look like.
I'm not trying to make fun of you, but that's what I thought of. I'm like, well, we'll give his little bone too. But no, it is a great design. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
So I was not expecting it to be that way. I'm pretty anal about shit.
I know you are.
So I think Kelly was more surprised by my acceptance. But good job, guys. Good job, Kelly. Good job, Patrick.
Thank you.
You my number one. You my number one. As far as what I've been doing this week, I have been busy as fuck.
Yeah, you've been recording this week.
Dude, I went to a actual recording studio at Premiere Studios. This is a huge studio. This is the one that put out the Evanescence album that blew up and was like, has made millions of dollars. Like, the guy that I sat with made that album.
Wow.
And he made Godsmack, Slipknot, fucking Cold, all these other different bands that I can't even, like, he just knows so many.
Right.
And I'm like this, like, little nerdy fucking, hey, synthwave, check it out. Like, but he was really cool. Like, we had a lot of fun. Me and my buddy Mike are working on some stuff. I can't say necessarily what it's for, but I will say that it is for a game. So it's going to be music for a game. And I'm also working on music for a movie, which I'm not 100% sure if that's still going through, but I'm going to do it anyway. And whatever I don't use, I'll just put it up on the internet.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on, man. I think it's about that time.
Oh, shit.
Horse shots! All right, guys, so we have a pretty interesting drink that is involving one of the movies that we're going to be talking about. So we're pre-gaming for the Thursday show, which will be our flesh and potatoes of Galaxy of Terror and Forbidden World. So we're taking a substance that one of the creatures would secrete into other people that would make them melt. And it would feed off of its flesh. And that is Proto B.
Right.
This was a man-made creature that was trying to stop world hunger. Is that what it was? I don't know. I don't want to get too far into it, but it's called Proto B. It's the stuff they shot into the humans so that they could devour it.
Right.
Like this creature. So we're going to take a Proto B shot. And what does that entail? Well, you're about to find out. And don't forget, if you want to check out this shot, go to horror shots in our longlivethevoid.com. I'll be the Bartista.
All right.
So first off, in the Proto B, we have dainty hands. There we go.
A little 99 banana.
Did you see that? I like banked it off like 5 different things before it went in.
Trick shot.
Yeah, trick shot. So 99 bananas, you're going to pour about a half a shot of that in there. Then you're going to go ahead and open up your Malibu Caribbean rum with coconut liqueur. You're going to pour about a half a shot of that, too. And then...
just a splash.
You're going to take... well, I use this. It's called Rockstar Zero Carb. It's technically like a blueberry energy drink. But you're going to put in just a splash of that in the top.
Start doing this shit in a shaker instead of doing it in the shot glass.
Why?
Because that is literally...
what? Maybe we are doing it in a shaker, Patrick, and you have to keep ruining... Dude, we're pouring these in diamond-studded fucking shot glasses right now. These things cost us 10 grand each. So, cheers, my friend.
Salud.
Oh. Hi. Yeah, that was weird. Coconut banana explosion?
With a weird, like, aftertaste.
Yeah, I saw you, like, he, like, did one of these little...
It was good going down, and then, like, the second that it went down my throat, it was like, what was that?
Yeah, kind of like semen.
Yeah. Without the chunks.
I don't think it was that bad.
I didn't like the aftertaste, but
I mean, first of all, like, there's 2 different types of shots. Shots that taste beautiful, and they have nothing in it, and you'll have to spend, like, $100 to get drunk. And then there's shots that actually make you feel like you drank something, and this is one of those.
It is one.
All right, so man the fuck up, Pat.
Hey. Well, let's not make it banana flavored then. Talk about being men.
Yeah, you want to suck on my banana? All right, so that's it for horse shots. All right, this just in from the hot presses. We've got a lot of...
It's the fucking news! Here is the fucking news!
Let's get right into the news. If anybody knows who that is, go ahead and sound off in the comments. All right, I'm a little drunk. We're going to have fun. Yay! So one of the more recent things that we just heard about is that there was some talk on the Cult of Chucky, the official Child's Play Twitter, that there might be a Child's Play video game.
I'm all down for it.
Holy shit! I don't think it would be that, like, grandiose, you know? Like, I don't think it would be, like... I think it would just be, like, a fun, like, silly game.
Yeah.
But I will say this, if there is a game coming out, and this is just a rumor, by the way, guys, if there is a game coming out, going to be because thanks to Friday the 13th with Wes Keltner and all those guys over there.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt in my mind.
Those motherfuckers have done some heavy service for the horror industry, in my opinion. And whether or not you like the game or it ends up being a hit success, there was a lot of work put into there with all the right people, and that's coming out on the 27th. Universal has been incredibly supportive of the Chucky character. It still remains to be one of the few canon franchises that are left. Brad Dourif reprising his voice role, and the original team once again reuniting on the Cult of Chucky. It's quite possible that Universal was developing some sort of video game to release in conjunction with the sequel, as reported by Bloody Disgusting. Their proof, as they say, of the rumor, by the way, Cult of Chucky, or Curse of Chucky, _ it says, Child's Play video game on PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, ? Hell yes or hell no. And 8% said hell no. A resounding 92% said hell yes, with about 172 votes for the final results. Now, I'm sure that number would have been way higher, but you can already tell just of 172 people that people are going to say yes. So it's also worth noting, they say in Bloody Disgusting, that way back in May of 2011, it was announced that Tiki Games was developing a Child's Play game called Chucky Wanna Play, which obviously never came to fruition after a failed Kickstarter campaign. It does prove that this is a discussion that's been going on for at least 5 years, and maybe Universal came in and saved the game to continue its development. Whatever the case may be, pretty exciting. That should be good news for you, Pat.
Oh, I love it. You know, if they would make it compatible with VR, I would shit my pants.
I think at this point in time, VR is a little too brand new for it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
I think they'd be cutting themselves short. I don't think VR took off as well as everybody's making it out to be. I think it's a success, a nominal success, but I don't think it's as widestream as it would be. Now, I will say that they probably need to make this game multiplayer.
If they can do it, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I would like to see what they do. In other news...
So, on other news, Screenbox is offering a 7-day free trial.
Pretty cool. Will it be out by the time that we get this out?
It's going out right now. You guys can go to the website, get your 7-day free trial. Just make sure, if you don't want to pay for the service, that you cancel. Go to their website, sign up for their free trial, and make sure you cancel if you don't like it, because
you'll get charged for a month. Yeah, but I have Screenbox. It's not horrible or anything.
Right.
I have Shudder, Screenbox, and I think I do that free one on 360. Was like horror, indie horror.
Oh, on 360, but not
right.
one. All right.
Also, in other news, Turbo Kid directors set to make a suburban horror movie called Summer of 84.
Ooh.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been buzzing about this. This was a little bit earlier last week, but I think it's pretty cool. The directors of the movie Turbo Kid, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Francois Simard and Anok Wissel and Johan Carl Wissel are finally making a new film together, and it sounds rather straightforward, for them anyway. That's what they say, as reported by Arrow in the Head or JoeBlow.com. Their latest is Summer of 84. The horror thriller is set in 1984, obviously, and centers on 15-year-old neighborhood conspiracy theorist Davy Armstrong, who suspects that his police officer neighbor might be the serial killer all over the local news. And he and his 3 best friends begin an investigation that soon puts them in danger. I don't know, it seems kind of like, what was that movie that Shia LaBeouf did?
Fuck. What was
Suburbia?
it? Was it Suburbia?
Yeah, it was Suburbia. It wasn't a cop that was the neighbor, but it was...
That's the one where the kid's like, kind of like The Burbs, the guy has an injury and he's kind of looking out his window.
Oh, it's Disturbia.
Disturbia, there we go.
But with like a Turbo Kid twist.
All right.
So it might be kind of fun.
I love to see anything they do with gore, they always make it fun. If it's anything like Turbo Kid, I should say, it should be fun.
It says here that the script was written by Matt Leslie and Stephen J. Smith. It says, how could we not bet on a writer associated with Straight Outta Compton and the directors of Turbo Kid to tell a twisted tale about a peaceful community where a serial killer threatens to shatter the suburban dream. Van Toffler, CEO and co-founder of Gunpowder and Sky, said. So, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's good news. But on to more news, my friends. Looks like Fox has renewed The Exorcist for a second season. So for all you fans of the first season, which I'm not really a fan, but my girlfriend really enjoyed it. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I just was more interested in other shows. In fact, in my opinion, in my humble, shitty, fuck you, Alex opinion, I think that Outcast is a way better show. It's a slower show, doesn't have a lot more going on for it, but it's got a very similar tone to Exorcist, and you can probably hate me and write it in the comments if you feel so. Last bit of news, and we're going to have to lift our beers to this one, Patrick. Remembering the late Bill Paxton, who would have celebrated his 62nd birthday as of Wednesday of last week. I don't know why Bill just keeps coming up, but we got to cheers to this motherfucker, dude. Happy birthday, Bill.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Some other news real quick that I want to bring up, that Shaun of the Dead guys, the duo, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, are working on another horror comedy. That's right. If you're a fan of the series or their movies, you will be pleased as punch to know that they're going to be starting up their own TV and film production company. The first project, according to Deadline, will be Slaughterhouse Rules, and their production company is going to be called Stolen Picture. We'll see Frost and Pegg acting as an executive producers, with Crispin Mills directing based on a script he co-wrote with Henry Fritzenberg. So the synopsis here, I'll read this to you real quick. Slaughterhouse Rules is set in an elite boarding school. Welcome to Slaughterhouse, where boys and girls are groomed for power and greatness. They're about to meet their match. The story's hero, Don Wallace, is a wide-eyed new boy from a modest background, forced to navigate a baffling new world of arcane rules and rituals, presided by sadistic sixth formers. Matters of status are aggressively enforced, and conversation with school goddess Clemcy are strictly forbidden. But this ancient evil and ordered world is about to be shaken to its foundations, literally. When a controversial frack site or prize school woodland causes seismic tremors, a mysterious sinkhole, and an unspeakable horror is unleashed. Soon, a new pecking order will be established as pupils, teachers, and school matron become locked in a bloody battle for survival. No word on when production's going to begin, but it's good to know, guys. We got some new movies coming out. They should have started a production company a while ago.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Go ahead.
But anyway, what was the last bit of news that we had real quick? Let's make it quick.
I'm not sure if you guys heard yet, but Netflix is planning on doing a Witcher series.
Right. The video game of the Witcher series, they have 3 out. The last one being one of their most successful by CD Projekt Red, called The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Right.
Part 3, in my opinion, is a really good game, and there's some people that say it's a shitty fucking RPG game, but that's just RPG people being RPG people.
Right.
Honestly, it's a really great game. It's an action RPG.
Okay.
With really good story, really good characters, really good acting.
Well, I knew it had a good story from even the first.
A lot of people say that it's super racist, but it's like, I don't know, it's this fake world. It's not even a real world, but whatever.
You racist against the elves, man.
Well, yeah, it is severely racist, and there's sex, and there's all kinds of shit. Like, literally, you can have sex with somebody in the game.
Well, you could do that in Mass Effect. So.
Yeah, but there's like a whole... Yeah, it's very much like that.
Oh, is it like Mass Effect where you got to make certain decisions for a certain outcome to reveal itself?
Perfect. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Netflix series. I think it might be kind of cool. It is kind of horror in the fact that there's monsters and stuff. So.
Netflix is really dipping their nose into this kind of shit because we're also coming out with a Castlevania series as well.
Not a live action, an animated series.
It's an animated series. It's not live action, but still, it's good to know that
Warren Ellis has actually written and produced that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's the one that did Transmetropolitan.
Oh, so we have a lot of good things to look out for.
Yeah, he is very gonzo journalist. So, but yeah, that's it for the news, guys. All right, guys, now it's time for us to jump into our creative exercise called graveplots. If you're not sure what the fuck that means, well, you're just going to have to tune in after this little ditty to find out. Okay, guys, we're back for graveplots. If you don't know what this is, what we do is we basically make up a whole bunch of fake movie title names, and we put them in a golden goblet with diamond runestones in the eyes of the socket of a golden skull that costs over $6 billion.
Oh, right. Don't forget the blood of Christ.
Right. We it was in there before, so we get healed by this. But then we actually pull a name out of that and make up the story on the spot of all the characters, the premise, the tagline. We make up a fake movie cover for it, like a fake VHS thing for it.
And the kills.
Yeah, all the kills, everything. So if you're new to this, buckle the fuck up. You're about to go to Crazy Town, motherfuckers!
And no, we do not have booster seats.
All right, so I went last time, so it's your turn. There are some take a shots in there. So what do we got here, Patrick?
It's definitely not a take a shot.
Let me see.
No, it's fine.
Let me see what it is.
It was fight, bite, destroy. I swear to God.
Oh, is it? Because I don't believe you whatsoever. Take a shot.
All right.
I like how you try to fucking not do that. What an asshole, dude. Sneaky fuck.
All right. Here we go.
Drink it up, buddy.
Drinky.
So do I now pull, or do you just keep pulling? There you go. Drink your drinky poo.
Oh, yeah. Sambuc. All right, here we go.
That's another one. Come on, Trent, take a shot. Take a shot.
Oh, I'm not doing it.
Is it take a shot? Ha! Do it, come on. All right, just take a big pull off your beer. And don't be fucking puss about it. Like, yeah, that's puss. Just drink that shit.
Was that big enough a hole? Should I go again?
Not really.
Oh, fuck you.
You were like, it was like you were doing the little closed lip thing, so you were just like you were sucking on a teat.
It is a teat.
It's not a teat. All right, whatever, Patrick Poo.
All right, there we go.
Oh, you just kicked one out right there.
Oh, well, that's the one.
All right.
Let's see. They're watching.
They're watching? Mm-hmm. So that one's mine. You got to jump all over that.
All right, let's see. They're watching. So they're watching. So maybe let's not go so much like government, because we've done that. Let's go extraterrestrial.
Okay.
How about them apples?
Well, do your thing. Tell me a little bit of a premise, and then I'll spit my little...
So here's my little synopsis. All right, so maybe they're watching. Maybe it's about aliens. Aliens who maybe abduct pregnant women when they're in a certain trimester of their pregnancy, and they implant their fetuses with some kind of chip or something that is like a computer. So anything they learn...
Wait, they steal pregnant women, you're saying?
They abduct pregnant women and then embed some kind of chip into their fetus.
Into the head of the baby.
Right. So essentially this baby is a human computer learning stuff for the alien race. It's like maybe they do it to a couple of different people who are pregnant, different fetuses and shit. So it's like kind of like each one's like collecting information for a certain thing. Like each one of these fetuses are a part of a bigger scheme, like almost like a supercomputer. Like each one's working on a certain formulation.
Okay.
Without them actually knowing it. You know what I mean?
All right, let me throw my little shit at you.
All right, go.
Originally, before you even said any of that, I was thinking in my mind, what if there's like something in the woods, kind of typical thing?
Oh, you're going more
typical scary thriller sort of like supernatural type thing. But I could also go the pregnant thing. I don't know about sticking microchips in for the reasons that you said. I was thinking more like they put some sort of technology inside the baby's brain.
Like it doesn't have to be a chip. That's just like...
Hold on, hear me out.
Right.
Anything. They put whatever in the head of the baby. that causes them to become super evolved. Like it speeds up everything in their system somehow, whatever they put in them. And it causes the babies sometimes to break out of the mother's stomachs and shit like that.
Like, you mean evolve so fast that it doesn't even have time to be birthed?
Right. And some of them like evolve into like weird creatures. Some of them evolve into aliens. Like they don't have it perfected. They somehow sort of don't have it right. Or maybe there's certain aspects, certain types of humans that have certain something of too much of something in their blood or their DNA or whatever that causes them to morph into crazy shit.
Okay.
But like some of them, maybe they're like trying to create the next Jesus baby of aliens through humans or whatever. Maybe it goes like so far back, it goes back to like the witch trials. Right. And like in this lost forest in the middle of wherever that we come up with, it's like heavily forested, and these creatures that burst out of their stomachs actually roam the woods and like kill people, or they go dormant for like decades, or maybe the alien race somehow put them to sleep,
right?
And or something, but then like the woods are like filled with these things, and then it starts back up again. They start impregnating women in this small town in the middle near these woods again. And it somehow activates these other things. So we got this like multi-story thing going on where it goes back to like really old times. So there's these old forgotten creatures that have mated and fucked until they're like these beasts.
Right. Even maybe some of them could be a part of like our lore today, like Bigfoot.
Right. Maybe some of them like most of them died, but some of them escaped to the caves.
Right.
Under the earth somehow and like lived under there. And like have become these weird blind creatures. They've evolved over a couple hundred years or whatever.
Right.
Because this chip is in their brain. But now fast forward to the future to today, they've kind of perfected it. So the golden child is born, breaks out of his mother's stomach sort of thing, and then like calls to the creatures because he has a connection to them somehow. What do you think?
I like it. No, it could work.
We don't necessarily have to have aliens all over the place. But maybe they do come, and that's like a third element. You got the newborn baby kid that's like either the son of Satan or alien prophet, or that can call to these old creatures that live under the earth.
Okay.
And maybe by him being born or breaking out of his mother's stomach, or maybe it's like they implanted into several women's babies that they've stolen or whatever. One of them wasn't even able to get pregnant. She didn't even have sex. She doesn't understand why she was impregnated, kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then
like immaculate conception.
Yeah,
kind of
like one of them's that way, and then there's another one that's already pregnant that gets like abducted, and she doesn't realize she's been abducted. She just thinks it's a bad dream.
Right.
But there's like all these new women that are born, but one of them has like this ultra power. But I kind of like the fact that maybe, and this is where it's going to get a little cheese dick, but I still think it's really fucking cool. Like, what if, how Krang operates that in like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? He's like the little brain.
So you're saying like the aliens controlling the mother kind of thing?
Well, like the babies.
Yeah.
Like, what if some of them can do that? What if he can control the babies and all the other moms or whatever like that?
Right.
I think it would be cool to have a bunch of pregnant women have babies like explode out of their stomach, but somehow keep them as a host till they grow.
Right. So maybe they're just a lifeless husk. They have no personality.
Well, no, they're still alive by some like really, really like primal thing. The babies still have like kept them alive by beating their heart and somehow pumping blood or whatever the fuck they do.
So maybe like I like that idea. So maybe that's where like a whole group of them go to this woods where they're drawn to, apparently, or being pulled to by their fetuses.
Okay.
And maybe there's another couple, maybe a newly like wed couple who's pregnant,
right?
Who are somewhere near these woods, and she gets abductive, and the same thing happens to her.
Well, isn't there a way to tell if like a baby's going to be like, maybe there's some sort of anomaly that causes the baby to kind of break its hive mind sort ofness?
Okay.
Could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, like we don't know.
So what you're saying is, like, say this couple, maybe they live near these woods, or maybe they're not too far from this weird site, that they're already pregnant. Maybe they're like, what would you say, like 5 months, 6 months in?
Right. Well, I picture like the mom on the couch, or, you know, and they hear their dog like going crazy outside. This is the beginning of the movie, right?
Right.
They hear their dog like, well, it doesn't even have to be the main stars, just like a random couple.
Okay.
They're sitting on the couch doing the popcorn thing or whatever, and she's like pregnant. They sort of talk about her pregnancy in some way, and like she's like searching for baby shit or whatever while they're watching this show or whatever.
Okay.
And all of a sudden they let their dog out, Scraps or whatever, and you just hear a yelp or something outside. Like the dog goes nuts inside. And they live by this forest on the outskirts in this small town. And like the dog's going nuts, and he's like, geez, Scraps, you know, like calm down.
You know what would be cool? I kind of see that scene. Like maybe they take him out because he's being so crazy, and they went to go put him on his chain that they have out in the back. You know, the chain leads off to the woods, so they kind of go out and follow the chain and figure out where their dog's at when you get to the end of the chain, you know. Like
in the middle of nowhere, you pretty much just let your dogs go.
Okay.
Like you don't care. Like there's so open world, you know what I mean? But anyway, they let the dog outside. He's going nuts. So goes out there. They hear a yelp or something, or you see the dog like going out, you know, like you follow the dog on the camera, and then the dog goes out there and he hears something. You hear him wince like, "Rrr!" And then it kills it. Something kills it, and you hear it yelp, and then you just see one of them like turn their head like, did you hear that? And then she was like, you better go check on, you know, Scraps, you know, and he's like, okay, I'll be right back. And then he's all bitching on the way out, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Fucking goddamn dog, la 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 la. Goes outside and he's like, Scraps! Scraps! Come on, boy! Scraps! And then he hears something rustling out in the bushes, so he thinks like the dog's into some shit, right? Like something he shouldn't be into, like eating a dead corpse, like animal corpse or whatever the fuck he's doing. So he's like, Scraps, what are you doing over there, buddy? And he goes over there, and like you just like hear some noise that's not normal, and he's like, Scraps? And then you just see him like, you see his legs go out and he gets pulled into the forest kind of thing, you know what I mean? I'm just saying like something pulls him into the woods and tears him apart, and you just see like a limb or like a claw or something like.
Right.
Like maybe he, even before he sees what's in the bushes, he sees the dead dog or the dog that's like hurt.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? He's like, oh my God, Scraps. And that's when he gets yanked. And it's just like this screeching and shit. You know what I mean? Like, just like fucking crazy shit,
right.
You know? Like, that's kind of scary. Plus, you're introducing the pregnancy thing in the beginning so that you don't have to include that character. But everyone in this town eventually will find out whoever's pregnant is a part of this alien shit. But again, like, the old creatures they weren't as advanced as they are now. So their advanced technology was to morph these things into this perfect being.
Right.
But they had a bunch of like bad creatures that were made from it. So they somehow went dormant for 100 years or 200 years.
Next scene, what are we going to go to? Are we going to go shoot to the main couple that we're going to focus our story
Yeah,
around?
it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to paint a atmosphere here.
Right.
Like, we can get into we don't have to jump right into the story.
Well, we got our opening scene already fucking nailed. So after he gets dragged into the woods, our next scene is...
And maybe it goes to credit, like the title scene or something like that. And then, you know, maybe then you start to follow some mom who's just doing her regular chores, kind of doing her thing.
So like you said, we did have to introduce the people we're going to focus around for the rest of the story. So maybe guy and his wife, pregnant.
I think she should be remarried, or not remarried, but like has a new daddy.
Right. Maybe there's a couple that they're like going through the pregnancy with, kind of thing. You know, to kind of divulge what's happening. We'll have like her friend come to full term, and like within 5 minutes, and her baby busts out of her chest, and that's the kind of like the oh shit moment.
I picture like the main character as being a woman who's pregnant. A guy that she's like either remarried or is her new boyfriend. She's already had another daughter before him with another dad that maybe ties into the story later that we don't really know about.
Right.
I picture it's a small town, like very small town. The movie starts after that whole fucking thing happens. It's just her driving down the road, saying hello to all the neighbors and all the people. Like, she's very, like, close-knit neighbor.
You kind of, like, get a sense of how small this town is.
Right.
Like, everybody knows everybody.
And everybody's really super stereotypically nice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe not always nice, but just, like, everybody accepts each other's quirks kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I picture her kind of, like, driving through, going to different places in the credits, and it'll show that there's a lot of pregnant women in this town. But for the most part, nobody thinks anything of it.
But it has to be like, you know, pregnant women found dead, reasons unknown.
Right. Or, yeah, like that guy gets torn out in the woods, but I don't know. We don't need to bring that up yet.
No.
Like, that could have been months before.
Or even during.
Yeah, we don't even need to cross that bridge. We don't even need to, like...
Right, you don't need to allude back to that at all.
It's just in somewhere within that universe.
Right.
But yeah, I just feel like she needs to come across other women who are pregnant.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe at this Lamaze class that she goes to, and she goes with her best friend, like,
Or just
whoever.
Or just goes to a store and there's a couple other pregnant people that she runs into.
Right.
Doesn't have to be a Lamaze class. I'm just saying, like, I want to paint it as, like, I feel like we should paint it like she's just, like, bumping into people that happen to be pregnant. So that you can start to feel like, wow, there's a lot of fucking pregnant people in this town. I don't know why, but there's a lot. But that's what you do in a small town, right?
Yeah, you just go
you
out,
get married
you
and
eat,
make
you
babies.
fuck, and that's it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to, like...
Food and sex. What else do you need?
And guns.
Food, sex, and guns. Yeah, there you go. Are we going to establish any friends? I think she should have, like, a close friend that she's kind of, like, going through this pregnancy with. They've kind of, like, made this big deal about their babies growing up together kind of shit.
I feel like a lot of the townswomen should be almost in the same trimester as each other.
Right.
So that they're all almost like weirdly on the same cycle.
And maybe they're not like privy to that kind of, like they haven't noticed that yet, you know what I mean? They just thought it was weird that they're on the same trimester, so maybe they're planning this whole thing together.
Yeah, like maybe it's just like 20 women or something like that.
Right.
But for a small town of like 200-300 people,
that's a lot.
That's a fucking lot.
Right. So maybe they kind of allude to that by talking about one of their other friends that's on the same trimester. You know, just mention it in passing kind of thing where it's not like sticking out.
We can just
at you.
introduce a character. We don't need to go into their backstory.
Maybe they're going on their husband does this kind of retreat thing every year to the woods.
Right.
Because maybe they do hunting. A big thing out there is hunting because they need meat to eat through whatever season they need it.
Maybe they got infected by aliens somehow. Or I don't know.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Like when deer season comes, I know
You're being very specific, though. I'm just curious
I'm not
where we're headed with this.
I'm just trying to get them out to the woods so they're secluded.
Do you want to just jump right into like more people getting killed in the woods? Or do you want to kind of like build up the story a little bit?
Well, no, like I said, these two close friends who are going through this pregnancy together, maybe, you know, their husband, like they're friends from high school, like the whole group is. Like they've been friends forever. Okay. And they kind of like do this thing every year where they go out to the woods and...
The women or the men?
The men. But the women are coming in with this year for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
And so maybe...
Because they're pregnant? I mean, I don't know.
It's like a cabin or... It's like a hunting cabin they have.
Yeah, I was like going to say, like, I don't think pregnant women should be out roughing it.
Right. It's not so much that they're
wood,
roughing it. It's like maybe it's
firing off shotguns and stuff. Just kicking the butt of the gun into her belly.
Right. More like a hunting cabin. It's just kind of... They always go to for hunting season.
It's a big orgy out there.
Yeah, you know, that's how the baby...
Pregnant orgy.
Where do babies come from? You want me to explain this to you?
What if, like, all the women that go on this trip, there's, like, 5 pregnant women that go. They all happen to be friends with the husbands and, like, kids and, like, just friends and stuff that go out. But, like, when they go out, all this crazy shit happens. And all of a sudden, it's almost like kind of like a dream.
Okay.
You know, like their minds get wiped. So they wake up. They're not really sure. Like, they feel like that something bad happened, but they can't really put their finger on it. Typical abduction shit.
Right.
But we could make it really crazy, but not reveal the crazy until later.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, maybe they go for a hike or something. They all, like, not necessarily without knowing, but go to this, you know, spot say like
yeah, maybe one of them goes to sleep and then they have this like really fucking crazy dream that's like really a lot of fast images, a lot of crazy shit happening. You can't really make out what's happening. And then they wake up and everybody's kind of off. Like they were all really happy and having a good time. Some of them were drinking and just laughing, and all of a sudden like they wake up and they're just like, I don't mean to be insensitive by saying this, but like raped.
Right.
Like something is not right.
And maybe
Like their subconscious knows, but they don't know. They get abducted while they're pregnant.
right.
So they can implant the chip into their
Exactly.
head. So it would be weird for them to have a baby.
Right. They wake up, they feel like they've been
Like something's
violated.
off. Like, but the
Right.
viewer doesn't necessarily know. You just think it's a bad dream.
like it's a bad hangover or something from.
Well, I just mean like
Oh
you
yeah, they
s-
can't be drinking.
they have. Well, some of them can. The men can. But like some of them, one of them has a dream. The main character has a dream in this camping thing, or in the lodge or whatever.
Right.
One of them has a dream. It's really vivid, really fast, like nothing you can make sense of, but just really weird. And she just wakes up in a panic. And then everybody walks out and starts waking up, but everybody feels really off. But we don't want to like divulge anything about it to the viewer whatsoever. Like they have no clue that they've been abducted. Like I want it to be very fresh, like you would feel if you were to wake up from an abduction.
Right.
And then shit starts happening bad because they stuck this thing in the baby's head. Like maybe the baby's like controlling people somehow.
Like controlling the women or controlling other
Either
people
or,
around?
just anything, just like causing things to happen. Like
Okay.
slow, weird things start to happen. Maybe the women are walking around in like a daze because the baby's sort of trying to connect with its brain.
Maybe like you start seeing like the power go crazy, like it's fluctuating and shit.
Right. Maybe some of them are like overpowered and they explode. Stuff like that. Weird shit.
Like the fetus? Like the women themselves explode?
Well, not the women, but the stomach.
Okay, well that's still part of the woman.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm spitballing.
Right.
None of this has to stick. What if the baby was like somehow controlling things, and that's you don't realize that it's the baby, and you think it's outside stuff,
Right.
but it's really the baby like having powers and shit because it's evolved after this chip is in its head after a few days.
Right.
So weird shit starts to happen that makes the viewer go, "What the fuck is happening?" Like, we don't need to lay it all out for them. Like, we can crescendo to this, like, crazy shit. Like, everything happening all over the place, but...
Where are we at now? Wake up, they're back at the cabin, shit starts
So
to
then
happen.
they go back home.
Right.
Everybody goes back home. It's just 5 couples and a few extra friends. And there's still, like, 15 other pregnant women that also got abducted during this whole fucking time. So really, it wasn't just them being in the woods that got abducted. It's the whole town. But you
Right.
don't know that right away. So you think it's just these 5 pregnant women. Like, if anybody catches on or catches wind of something weird about pregnant women, we can throw them off the scent by having all these other pregnant women do things.
What I just had a thought. So maybe the couple they leave early because of complications or so they think. They leave. And maybe the next day, the rest of the group, that was the last day. So they're all heading back to town.
So that person leaves the night before they get abducted?
The night before everybody heads back to town after their hunting trip.
Well, that's the night they get abducted. That's why I'm saying that.
Okay, so that's the night they get abducted. All
That's
right,
why I was
cool.
saying, like, all of the pregnant women are abducted, but the viewer doesn't know that yet.
All right,
So
maybe,
having one that gets out of it, you would have to make up a whole new story.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. So maybe this happens in the middle of the night after that all takes place.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe all the abductions happen. They wake up. They don't know what's going on. They feel like something's off. She had a weird dream. The viewer doesn't know that anything really happened other than this bad dream, and that everybody's acting really strange. And so they're all very quiet. They all head back to their houses, say goodbye in like awkward ways, get in their cars, drive back home, and then, maybe like these little tiny things start to happen till it like escalates these weird things until it like really goes fucking
Right.
wild.
Well, I was thinking like, say it's like 4:00 in the morning, and it's
that's
right
when
after
they-
this woman's dream or whatever, and she's like, I gotta go. So I think something's wrong with the baby. And so they leave in the middle of the night. And then maybe they come back to town the next day and they're like, well, let's go see what's going on with Cheryl. She left middle last night. I want to know if everything's okay. So they go over to her house to find that she's not even there. The house is a mess. It looks like someone broke in. Maybe there's blood or
See that
some kind of
I feel like
sign of struggle.
That's too fast for the story we're trying to build.
Okay.
Because it's going to crescendo into crazy shit rather than dropping the ball right away. That's what I'm saying. Like, have you ever seen the movie The Crazies?
Yeah.
Okay, the remake? They slowly build that up until it hits the fucking wall.
Okay.
I feel like if we were to just drop, like, a murder right off the bat, you've already lost the interest.
Okay.
I like that slow, like, weird shit starting to happen kind of thing. And then we can start having, like, rapid shit happening. You know what I mean? Where then, because if you immediately kill somebody off, the whole town's in disarray.
Okay.
It's a small town.
So maybe, let's just scratch that idea that we build at night. So the next day, everybody wakes up, they all feel a little bit weird. They all kind of, like, talk about it. Like, do you feel like something's off?
I just feel off. Do you have any coffee? You know, just weird, just normal stuff.
Right.
You don't find out till later.
And maybe they go back to town.
They try to go about their regular days.
Right.
And then they start seeing weird shit happen. Like maybe she tries to brush off the weird and she goes into town to go to the grocery store with her daughter or whatever, you know, the main character. And then something weird happens in the checkout line. Like nothing abrasive, just like someone just staring out a window up at the sky.
For no reason.
Yes.
Right.
Stuff like that. So it starts to progressively, it like puts you through this really awkward, weird, like thriller feel.
Yeah.
And then drops the hammer of horror. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that to me is what draws me into a story. If you blow your load too early, there's movies that do that. But I think this seems like the type of movie where we slowly introduce weird shit and then bad shit goes crazy. You know what I mean? Like bad shit, crazy stuff happens.
Right. No, it could definitely be like that. I'm just trying to think of weird incidents that happen around the town.
Well, we got she goes to the supermarket.
Right.
And they drive into the town, they unload at the house, and then she's like, you know what, I'm not feeling really good. I need to get out. Like, I need to get out and about. I don't want to sit. I'm just going to go to the grocery store. Do you need anything, honey? And he's like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the wood pile or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? And then he takes her daughter. So we'll call the main characters. We'll start calling them names. Dave is her boyfriend / maybe husband, whatever. It doesn't matter. Her second husband. Her daughter's Chelsea, and she is Rebecca.
Okay.
So Rebecca, Dave, and Chelsea.
Okay.
So Rebecca and Chelsea go to the store. Chelsea's the daughter. She's probably about, 6. Right? She's kind of treats Dave as like her dad. Because maybe her dad disappeared for some reason. Or he went crazy. And maybe that starts to that's like another side story that starts to pin it all together.
Right.
Maybe he thought that he was going to bring these aliens back or something. I don't know. Something weird. It could be anything like that. Where maybe he's not such a bad guy for leaving after all.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
And maybe there's something weird going on with her daughter. Like maybe she wakes up and finds her daughter at the foot of her bed just looking at her belly. Kind of like say like...
Right. Johnny's talking to me.
Right. Who's
Johnny, baby? You know, like we could bring that in, but I think if we go to the grocery store first, and
right.
you start to see people she walks in and she'll be like, "Hey, Jessica, how you doing?" And Jessica's just staring at the sky.
Or maybe one of those fucking bulbs inside the grocery store, something just like
anything.
I
think it'd be kind of cool if she just looks at the sky.
Okay.
Because then you don't really know why.
Like she's pushing carts to collect. She's collecting carts, and all of a sudden she's just looking at the sky.
And she's just like, "Hey, Jessica," and then they're like, "Hey."
Or they don't even say anything.
Or they don't say anything at all, yeah.
Right.
And then they go in and they're like, "Yeah, the whole town's been kind of weird today." She was like, "It's so weird. We went camping last night. We all feel a little off today."
Yeah.
Must be a full moon. Is it a full moon? You know, like just
right.
regular town folk talk.
And then maybe like that night, that whole incident with the daughter happens. Where
right.
she's at the foot of her bed and she's like, "Joey's talking to me." She's like, "Who's Joey, honey?"
Yeah.
And then maybe the next day she goes in for an ultrasound or a check-in with the doctor, and they, that she's like, "Would you like to know the sex of the baby?" And then they
right.
reveal that it's a boy.
Right.
And that just kind of sets her off a little bit.
Well, he's a real active one in there.
Right.
But I don't want it to be like reveal at the doctor's office or anything.
No. Just that it's a boy or whatever.
Okay.
The fetus is talking to her.
I see what you're saying. So that's how okay. So they make a connection that it's a boy.
Right.
I think she just blows off her daughter like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
You know what I mean? And she's like, "Go back to bed, honey."
What else could happen?
I think one of the neighbors could come out maybe that same night after she tells her to go to bed. They hear screaming outside.
Right, like maybe disembodied like sounds coming from like...
Well, not that it's a creature,
Right.
Just someone going crazy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe after that, they go to sleep that night, and the wife has another creepy dream and wakes up in the middle of the night and goes downstairs to get something to drink, and she just starts, maybe she sees like lights in the woods behind her house moving, and she doesn't know where it is, so maybe she calls the cops. And
well, what would these lights be though? Like,
we don't know yet.
Well, what would they be though?
You mean like in the end run? What would they be?
Yeah, like, I mean, why would there be lights in the woods? Like, it almost seems like you want to like put a saucer out there.
No, there's no saucer. The light's emulating? Yeah, from the pregnant women's bodies, but you don't know that yet. But like, it's literally this woman walking into the woods.
Okay.
And that's where the light's coming from, is their stomachs.
Okay.
But we don't know that yet.
I think it'd be kind of cool if she walks out in the morning, and like the kid and the dad are already back to normal, but she still has this weird feeling.
Right.
Maybe it could be because the baby's being affected somehow.
Uh-huh.
But it also could be that she had these visions like you're talking about, and she's like making her coffee or whatever this she's drinking that's like safe for the baby, whatever it is.
Maybe like the sound of the stirring of the cup, something.
It starts getting louder and louder.
Right.
And then she's like, honey, like you can hear his voice come in slowly.
And her kind of just snap out of it.
Right, yeah. And he's like, you all right there? You kind of went somewhere. And she was like, yeah, just the other night really, I don't know, just sat with me wrong. He's like, oh, you probably just, we probably just had too much fun. You probably were really tired.
Right.
We probably shouldn't have gone to the cabin, after all. And he just blows it off. It's like, I love that tension when people like pretend like nothing's happening, because it's like you don't want to accept something like crazy.
Right.
Because it's not the norm. But I like that tension where somebody knows something's up and like you can't tell somebody, because it's a very panicky thing. Can you imagine like you knew something was up but you couldn't explain it and make anybody believe you? It'd drive you crazy.
Right.
So now we can start adding in like elements of things that are happening in the town that are a little bit weird.
Maybe
and maybe it's not just the pregnant women that are being affected.
Okay.
Maybe there was like a wife and her husband like get into an argument, and he climbs the top of the water tower and jumps off.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was really the baby pushing it.
Right, like telepathically telling him what to do.
Because he felt threatened.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
No, for sure. No, I like that idea. And then maybe it doesn't have to be the main. And you don't tell me if you don't like this, because it's just something weird that just came to my mind. Like the baby needs nourishment, so maybe middle of the night, tentacles or whatever comes from this woman's special area
and kills a cat or dog or something.
I was thinking even more grandiose than that. Like actually eats the husband, and then like there's a whole bunch of blood between her legs the next morning when she wakes up, and her husband's not there, but she kind of doesn't know what's happening, and she just thinks that something's wrong with the baby. But when really the baby just ate her fucking husband for nourishment.
I mean, I don't mind doing that. I kind of like having an animal get like sucked in for some reason.
We could do an animal too. It doesn't have to be the husband.
Because if the thing that I worry about is that if people just start dying randomly like that, questions are going to be asked.
So maybe it's like the dog. The dog's at her feet, and she's like, the dog's licking her feet, and all of a sudden, like, you just start seeing these things moving from underneath her dress.
Right, and she's like in this catatonic state.
Right.
Maybe she's even levitating almost.
And then maybe like the only thing you hear is a slight, and then she like wakes up, but she kind of like doesn't know what's going on.
And then the next day she's like lively and power, like full of energy.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the lady, I think it'd be kind of cool to have like a scene where like the husband and wife are fighting. One of them's pregnant, the lady's pregnant, and the husband's fighting with her, arguing, because there's like, they both feel like something's off.
Are we going back to the fetus?
Yeah, like I kind of want to like explain that a little bit more. They argue, and he just kind of like slams the door, and he's like poking his finger in her face. Maybe one of the other neighbors hears them arguing and stuff like that, and they see him run out the front door.
Or maybe he just like retires to like his workshop or something.
No, I think he should run right out the door and go jumping off the fucking thing. That's what I'm saying. But like, he's not just like walking normally. It's almost like he's struggling to stop himself.
Oh,
do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it lets that. So it's like he's like running, but like one of his legs gives out a little bit and he falls. And like he falls into the car and he's kind of like struggling a little
like
bit.
maybe even his voice, like
Right.
he's trying to say help me, but it keeps cutting it.
And the neighbor's like, Hank, you doing all right there, buddy?
Right.
And he's just like yelling or something or saying something that doesn't make any sense, you know, like it's almost like he's constricted. Mm-hmm. And then he just like goes running off and like, or he grabs a gun and kills himself.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe he like retires or like he goes to his workshop or whatever where he keeps his gun and he's cleaning his gun and all of a sudden something just takes over him and just blows his own head up.
Okay. But I want to have another guy jump off the water tower somehow because then it's like now that there's something going wrong.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I think it would also be cool if we had a segment where all the women start going into labor at the same time.
Oh, shit.
And the hospital gets overrun with like 20 fucking pregnant women. You know, maybe we fast forward. Maybe they're not in their second trimester. Maybe they're like 7 or 8 months in.
Right.
When they get abducted. Like, you don't know that the whole town was abducted as far as... You know, like the women were taken and implanted with the chip or whatever to make the kids evolve faster, and they evolve over a month or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, maybe it's closer to 8 months because that would just make more sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, closer to term.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you don't want to do 6 months because it's like, eh. But anyway, so like, what was I saying?
The guy jumping off the water tower.
Right, but that just lets everybody know that there's something not right.
Right.
Maybe there's like a scene where like, you know, just randomly people are always looking up at the sky.
Yeah, like you're just driving down the street and you just see a couple like looking up at the sky.
Right.
Right.
And then people start asking like, what the fuck is going on? You know, like not everybody's affected.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some people like friends coming into town that are visiting her and her family and stuff. And they're like completely separate from it after the event.
Right.
So that they're kind of like seeing all this crazy shit happen. You know what I mean?
So
and we got to add the creatures too, because they're in the woods and they get woken up by the kids.
Maybe they're not like, not everybody's on the same trimester.
No, I think they should be.
Well, like, I just don't see how, like, everybody giving birth and then how we're going to lead to women walking out to the woods thing. You know what I mean? It's like, if everybody just gave birth at the same time, then there would be no one left and it'd just be like you're in the shit with no...
Well, that would be the end. That's what I'm saying. Like...
So if everybody... That's what I'm saying. If everybody's giving labor at the hospital, that means
so
she
everybody's
would be
having
in
labor,
too.
whether they're 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
So they're evolving, weird shit's happening, doesn't matter. At some point, I want them to a lot of women to show up at the hospital.
Right.
And
so maybe
I want the tentacle thing to like grab people. Maybe some babies are busting out of the stomachs of the women.
Right.
And dragging the corpses behind them kind of thing. With tentacles, like, grabbing onto stuff and, like, dragging the body behind them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be fucking scary.
Right, but now you're getting to the point where it's already, like, off
Sure, but
the
I said that
rails.
was later.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be now.
What I'm thinking is maybe the point where their dog goes missing.
Okay.
And they think that there's been a break-in because they see blood, and their dog's missing and this and that. They go to the sheriff. And maybe while they're at the sheriff's office, something happens with her. Like, she thinks she's having contractions. So then they go to the hospital, and then we'll lead into, like, where they see everybody else that's in labor and that they're overbooked almost. And that's kind of where, it starts to, like, pile up really thick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, I think the police are definitely going to have their hands full because it's a small town. So they probably only have, like, 3 police officers for the whole town. You know what I mean?
Right. And maybe this call comes in before the shit hits the fan. So, like, the sheriff and some of the deputies are doing something, and there's one guy left who decides to take their call to figure out what's going on.
Maybe they have a state sheriff come in.
There you go.
You know what I mean? To kind of, like, help out because they're having so many issues and they're trying to investigate all this shit.
Right.
So they don't know what's going on. They think that maybe there's, like...
From all, like, these missing animals.
Right. Maybe they think it's a virus or something.
Right.
Or, like, something's, like, not right. I think it'd be kind of interesting to have some of the creatures in the woods who are technically alien babies that are mutated because they didn't evolve properly from the past for hundreds of years ago. And they come to surface, because of the babies... Like maybe we were talking about how the babies inside the stomach are causing people to do things.
Right.
Maybe they're sending them into the woods to feed the other kids.
Yeah.
And maybe the pregnant women go catatonic of some sort, or sleepwalk sort of, and like their husbands out there with them to feed them to the creatures.
So you're saying they bring their significant others with them
Right.
to feed to these other
And that's why you
creatures.
keep seeing the glowing lights out there.
Yeah.
And not everybody is pregnant. It's just these 20 women. Well, I don't know why it's 20. I'm just saying 20 is like a pretty big number where it's significant.
Yeah, for a small town of like 100,
Right.
200 people.
And then, like, you know, they're like, people start to catch on to, like, things are bad are happening, and people are panicking. Some people are trying to leave in the middle of the night. And then weirder shit starts happening. Like, maybe, like, a pregnant woman standing or just, like, pounding on a window of someone's house and just busts out the window with her hand, and she's, like, bleeding, you know, as it's, like, pounding through. And they're like, what the fuck, Jessica? Or, you know, Margaret, what the fuck are you doing? Like... And then she just kind of tilts her head and looks at him. She slams him up against the wall. Almost looks like she's doing it, but really it's the baby, and the stomach glows a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And just rips him in half.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Just like fucking seriously fucked up, like, but slow.
Right.
So it's like him screaming.
Like pulling a piece of taffy apart. Just like...
And then maybe one of the kids of that guy come in the room and is just like shaking.
And this is why they're driving to the hospital, or...
No, this is just one of these other weird moments.
Okay.
We don't have to get to the hospital just now. We can. I mean, whatever. I'm just trying to add more gore.
Right.
Like, I want this to show that these things do not care for human life whatsoever.
Right.
Other than a vessel.
Right. And I'm thinking, like...
Especially men.
Right. So I'm thinking, once we do get to the hospital, I want to see a scene with a girl on a gurney, just like screaming to Bloody Mary, get it out of me. And she even tries to physically rip it out of her own body.
What if it, like, she jabs like a pair of scissors into her stomach to kill the baby?
Right.
And, or like, yeah, like something like that. And then the baby, like... I don't know what it would look like necessarily. I haven't like thought that far into it. But what if like all the tentacles just shot up at the ceiling and like grabbed onto everything and was like kind of swinging her around the room?
Oh yeah, like...
Do you know what I mean?
Like she's a cocoon and like this is the...
Right. And then one of the doctors or orderlies come, like the staff come in and like it like... She like, they slam her in, the tentacles slam the body of her into the fucking person. And, like, it breaks their jaw off kind of thing.
Right.
Like, that would be fucking intense, dude.
Right.
And it's just, like, screeching while this is happening. And she's, like, screaming and almost kind of, like, in so much pain that she's just not even there.
Like, and maybe as soon as she slams into that doctor, that pretty much kills her. But...
Well, it knocks her out, at least. And then maybe the tentacles slam the body on the ground until it fucking smashes her head open. And then the baby just like comes oozing out.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, now here's the cool thing I think would be interesting is what if the babies, you know, like how some animals, or not animals, insects eat their mother when they're born?
Right.
Isn't that like a thing?
Yeah.
What if these aliens do the same thing to the dead bodies? Like some of them don't need to use, maybe some of them use other things to eat, and maybe some of them have a connection with their mom because after all they are still somewhat human.
Right.
So they have human traits, but some of them are like really just violent, and because they're mutated, they're not like, they're kind of like the old ones that live in the forest or in the caves or whatever. But these things like will eat, like you see a baby like a weird, fucked up, demonic looking creature with like black eyes just chewing on its mother.
Oh, yeah.
Like on its stomach or on its face. And then another orderly comes in and is like screeches at it. And then it goes to the next scene. Something like that. Because that would be shocking.
I would like to still be like halfway in her, like munching on her arm or something. Like he's not even fully out of her womb yet.
Oh, just like with his hands
on
on her belly, like coming out and like chewing on her belly.
Or just like having an arm in his hand, just munching down on the fingers.
And it slides out of her stomach and then attacks it like screeches at the one of the like doctors or something like
right.
that. Like and then now maybe there's a scene where like people are panicking in the hospital and running and you see shit going on in the background. Like maybe there's like a woman with her stomach like cut open.
Right.
Or like there's a baby's head hanging out of her, you know, down there.
Yeah.
And it's like controlling her and they're like killing people Like the moms are killing people because it's
Right.
controlling the moms.
And I'm not sure if we're still doing this, so maybe like our main characters don't even know this is happening in the hospital yet. Like they're still on the way, and when they
Right.
pull up to the hospital, they see this mass hysteria that's pouring out of the hospital. That
Maybe one of the police officers there and calls in for backup from the state guys,
right,
and they get like a bunch of state guys out there, and it's like this big fight.
right,
And they don't know what to do because it's like pregnant women. They don't want to shoot pregnant women.
right.
You know what I mean? But in the same regard, it's like they're fucking killing people.
And so maybe he leaves, and then like they're just like, "Fuck it, let's leave." So they steal his car and just leave.
Who? What was the name? Rebecca, Chelsea, and Dave. Are you talking
Dave.
about the main characters?
Yeah, like
So were they at the hospital?
yeah, because they were calling about the noise complaint,
Right, but
And then
somehow she has control over her baby, or her baby isn't as malevolent.
right. So they go to the hospital because he comes to check out this noise complaint or whatever. And she has a contraction or something, and something's wrong with her truck, so he has to drive them to the hospital. Maybe her husband's not even home yet. Maybe he's still at work.
Wait, were you talking about before all this shit happens at the hospital?
Right, like she's not
okay.
even there yet. She's at home dealing with the break-in or whatever, talking to the sheriff.
Okay. So
like-
some of them aren't having babies at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
So, like, she comes to the hospital and sees a mass hysteria and all this shit hitting the fan, and he goes in. Well, she just, like, doesn't want any part of it and just takes his keys and fucking heads the other way.
Leaves him?
Leaves him.
What? Why? Why would she do that?
Because there's literally mass hysteria breaking up in front of her. Like, people killing themselves.
Dude, you wouldn't just leave Kelly, would you?
No, well, this is just the sheriff. This is not her significant other is at work or something. This happened when he wasn't home.
Oh, I was assuming this was kind of like at night, so maybe
No.
that's why I'm thinking that.
No, okay. So she just leaves because she's freaked out. She doesn't know what to do.
I would think it would be good to have Dave there with her.
Okay.
And maybe he's like carting her around because she's in labor on a fucking gurney.
All right.
Do you know what I mean? Like on a hospital bed of some sort, or a gurney or whatever.
Right.
Maybe she showed up right before all that crazy shit happened, and then Dave shows up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I think it would be cool if, like, maybe they're like she's like the police officers, like, all this shit's going crazy. He's like, fuck this. He's like, we got to get out of here. And then maybe one of the moms is outside and shoots him in the face with his own shotgun.
Oh, the officer.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea of the gurney now. So maybe she is on the gurney. Her husband's there pushing her around, trying to escape this mayhem. And maybe there's an open ambulance.
They try to get in it, but there's some chaos in there. So
Well,
they
I was
have to-
thinking that maybe they get into the ambulance and take her away, and he's driving at this point, and some shit happens to her in the back while he's driving, but he's unprivy to that. Like, he doesn't know exactly what's happening. She just thinks he's in labor, and they're trying to get somewhere safe so they can deliver the baby. But really, it's like, when he finally looks back there, it's like a cocoon. Like, tentacles are coming out. She's, like, in the air, suspended by these tentacles or whatever.
You think?
I'm
Already
just- I'm
there?
just going
I
off.
was thinking, like, maybe they drive, if they were, because I thought it'd be kind of interesting to have some of the movie where he's pushing her around on a gurney.
Yeah.
Because that's like, it's like you're kind of open to the world.
Right, it's
But
like-
in the same regard, I also like the idea of them escaping into a ambulance, and then maybe as they're trying to get out of the town to get away, because it's obviously gone fucking haywire.
Right.
They see chaos on the streets as they're driving. Maybe they hit a pregnant woman or something like that, and her belly just cracks open. Like weird shit. Maybe other people are getting infected by these other fucking creatures or something like that. But I think it'd be cool if, like, they're almost about to get away and some fucking thing goes running out of the forest and they hit it and it turns over the fucking ambulance and slides it so that they're not safe anymore and they have to run.
Right. So at this point, they're like maybe at the edge of the woods. Or
Right.
something.
And maybe that's where the gurney thing comes into place, where he's like pushing her down the road
Yeah, in this gurney.
in this gurney or whatever. And he's got like a shotgun or something. Cause
Maybe they're trying to get back to the cabin since maybe they might be close to it or something, or is that the only close place they can really escape to?
Right. Maybe at this point in time, she gets some sort of, like the baby takes over her.
Right.
But this is like the purest alien baby, right?
Right.
They start seeing shit in the sky, like lights,
Yeah, like triangles.
like a
whatever.
lot of lights.
Right.
Like it's first they see a shooting star, and then all of a sudden they start seeing like lights show up. They don't really explain it. You just see stuff moving around, and they look up scared. But maybe at this point in time, they somehow kind of go to the woods.
Right.
How would we do this? Like, where would be the end scene?
Well, this is how I would look at it. So they're heading back to their house, or no, not maybe they passed their house because maybe like their neighborhood is fucked. Like there's mayhem
and plus she's
everywhere.
with her daughter. We didn't even add her daughter in there.
Oh yeah.
So he's got to be like holding like her hand or something throughout this whole thing.
Right.
Riding in the front seat of the ambulance. I'm just painting the picture because we've completely forgotten about Chelsea.
We did. They're all in the ambulance.
Maybe Chelsea can communicate with the baby.
Right. Exactly.
Like she's like one of the only ones that can communicate it. And maybe then when they get in the accident, he's like, "You all right, baby? You okay?" And she was like, "John or Joey or whatever you called him. Joey says that we need to go to the forest, or Joey says we need to go wherever it is. Like, where do we want to have this end thing happen?"
Right. Well, maybe it could be to wherever they had their little powwow that night, where maybe there's a place they go to at the cabin where there's like a fire pit and there's a cave or whatever around it. But it's just a normal place that they go to, not far from the cabin, where they, have campfires or bonfires.
Maybe you could just go right back to the cabin.
Or we could just go back to the cabin.
Yeah, yeah.
completely.
Maybe they escape back to the cabin pushing the cart. It's like, they drove at least 5-10 miles out of town.
Right, and then they have to push this gurney through the rest of the forest.
Right, and then somehow she has to walk some of the way or whatever to be realistic. And then they get to the cabin, and she's about to give birth. And she's like, maybe Chelsea's like, "Hey, John or Joey says that we need to go to the cabin." And they're like, "Who's Joey? He's the baby. He's telling me." For some reason, they just do it because they think it's a safe place anyway. And they go there. And that's when they start to see all kinds of lights.
In the
and
woods.
maybe the creatures surround the whole cabin.
Yeah.
But I want it to end poorly. Like, I want maybe the mom to be motherly towards the baby in some way.
Well, here's where I'm going to get. So they're at the cabin. She's giving birth. So the husband is naturally helping her birth this baby. And maybe this baby just fucking eats the living shit out of him.
Well, what if he's trying to stave off all the fucking creatures?
While maybe the daughter's helping her conceive.
Right. All the like some of the creature alien babies have dragged their moms there, or they forced them to walk in this catatonic state with them busted out of their, whatever, stomach, vaginas, whatever.
Right.
Like they're using them like Krang from TMNT, you know what I mean? I just think that's really dark and kind of fucking crazy, dude.
Right.
Like if I saw that standing outside of my house or cabin or whatever, plus there's all these creatures that are running around in circles, you know what I mean? And these women the babies come through. And so they surrounded this house because they don't want anything to happen to the baby or something.
Well, maybe we'll see these like women hanging from trees by like umbilical cord, not umbilical cords necessarily, but some kind of
That's
cord.
pretty...
And they're like...
I don't think all of them. I think some of them should be walking. Some of them should be dead and dragging
behind. I'm saying the ones that have already given birth are just there for livestock later.
Okay,
to feed,
whatever.
To nourish the babies. Okay. So maybe they just throw them up in a tree or whatever and they'll get to it later.
Okay.
So...
what I'm getting at is to end here.
Right.
We don't need to paint it any more than it already is, I think. Like, I think there should be just a lot of chaos outside of this cabin. And maybe the husband's trying to shoot at him and stuff. They try to explode him or something like that, like using all their powers or whatever the fuck. And then maybe something with Chelsea. There's got to be something with their daughter.
Well, I'm thinking
maybe she has power.
Right. Well, maybe we can get to that while she's helping her mother give birth to the alien.
Okay.
Then maybe when it actually comes out, they have this moment where they're actually talking without actually talking, telepathically. Kind of a thing, but I don't know where to go from there.
Well, I don't want to get too heady, but I think it might be kind of interesting to somehow end it up where she is still a mother to the alien baby sort of thing.
Right.
The husband maybe dies, and maybe she walks off with the baby and her daughter into some lights.
Right. Just emanating from the woods. They don't know exactly what they're walking towards.
Maybe she passes out at one point in time, and you just see all these tentacles pushing her and moving her with the kid, and it's this scary thing, and then you just see a bright light, and that's the end of the movie.
I like it. Yeah.
So
I still just I know it's a minor footnote, but I just would love to see these women just hanging from these trees.
Well, we could have one doing that. You know what I mean? And maybe he shoots it out of the tree or something. But what happens to the husband? I have a feeling that he gets like just crushed or something like that instantly. And maybe the Chelsea girl has some sort of power and she's like, no! And it's like a really loud no. And then she yells that no so loud it knocks out the mom. Okay. And that's when you see them all like slithering, like pushing her towards this light.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's when the light gets brighter and you just see her smile, the kid smile, and she says, "It'll be okay, Mommy." And then it just gets really bright, and that's the end.
I like it.
Yeah?
I don't know. It sounds good.
Like, you don't know if she dies or if she's...
You don't even get to see what the baby looks like.
Right, like, and there's a huge backstory to it, but, we don't have to divulge everything.
Right.
It just makes for better context.
Right.
And if we had a DVD background extras or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, and a lot of that shit would get cut anyway for budget anyway, so... Right. But yeah, guys, what do you think of that? You have any other extra ideas that we should have added in there? Did we go... I mean, we're making it off the top of our head in a rush. So, but what do you think the slogan should be or the tagline?
What goes in must come out. I don't know. Let me
Motherworldly?
Motherworldly.
Yeah, something like it's motherworldly. It sounds so stupid. A story that's motherworldly.
I like it. It's cheesy.
It is cheesy, but I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Most taglines are garbage.
Right.
And like, when you get too thinky about it, some people are like, I mean, either it gets changed because like the producer's like, fuck that. No, we're selling it this way. Right. And the director's like, what? No, or the writer's like, no, I don't think you should do that, Or they just don't give a fuck. Most of them are pretty bad. Yeah. Like, even some of the best fucking horror movies have some of the worst taglines. Yeah. Some of them have good ones, but I'm just saying, like, a story that's motherworldly.
There we go.
A story that's motherworldly. Okay, I know it's bad, guys. Suck it. Cheers.
Did you say suck at the same time?
I did. It's literally the exact same time. All right, guys. Well, that's it for our grave plots and our episode here of Theyre Watching, which is a fucking insane ride.
Really?
I hope you enjoyed that. I know that it can be tough for some people to kind of follow along because we're making this up, and generally it's all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
But if you guys have any pointers or anything or any additions that you want to tell us that would make this more interesting for you, we're all ears. So let us know what we can do to better this experience for you. If you hate it, if you love it. I had someone tell me the other day, my friend John was like, John, Derek's brother.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not really into it. I'm sorry to be harsh. I'm glad you split it into two because I just check out the other one. I was like, wow.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, man. Your basically what it felt like was like, your creativity sucks. Sorry.
Right. No pointers, no
nothing. We don't care. We really don't care. John's a good friend, and we want you to tell us what you think. So if you got an idea that you want to tell us that maybe we should put in the cup or in the hat, the golden skull.
So we could pretty much talk shit about John right now because he's not going to listen to this part.
No, he will. John, we love you, brother. But anyway, guys, this Thursday we will be returning to talk about two movies in particular that we're going to be calling this one Forbidden Galaxy, because we watched two movies, Forbidden World and Galaxy of Terror. So if you haven't seen those movies, you might want to check them out between today, Monday, and Thursday. If you want to check out those movies, check them out. If not, we always give spoiler alerts. We try to. I mean, some of it is kind of spoilery, but, for the most part, you guys understand what it's like, and hopefully it just interests you in watching the movie to begin with. So you're going to want to come back on Thursday this week to check out Forbidden Galaxy. But thanks for stopping by, guys. If you haven't already, head over to longlivethevoid.com to check out all of our website. We have everything on there. If you ever want to submit an idea, grave plot, horror shot, whatever, go to the contact section, and there's a drop-down menu for anything that you want to give us. Just put your name and everything on there, and we'll give you a shout-out. But other than that, guys, thanks for stopping by.
Have a good one.
See you guys.
have been listening to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. Tune in this Thursday for part 2 of Forbidden Galaxy.